By far, I think the most impressive thing about Innomate is their responsiveness to almost any request. Innomate are so positive that anything that we ask, any ideas that we have, they're on board, and the answer is it's almost immediately a yes by default.
From my experience, the Innomate team have always been very nimble and flexible and very outcome focused. You know, we've done small projects together, we've done very complex projects together. And I guess what we've really valued and appreciated along that journey is a very outcome orientated process, all the while, you know, seeking to deliver technical excellence as part of that process.
We've had some significant projects in the last 2 years, not least of which was last year. So we updated 190 rooms in 8 weeks. In the previous model, that simply wouldn't have been possible. We wanted to do something new, but also something different. We didn't want to just pick another vendor, pick another black box, create another set of problems for us in 5 years' time. From there, we found Innomate. The advantage there was that Innomate had a lot of, I guess, similar perspectives to us as to the things that we wanted to achieve. High availability being probably the major one, as well as manageability, etc. And that's how we came to select what we did and how we've, I guess, started the journey.
And one of the biggest things that we wanted to get across, which has worked beautifully now, is content co-creation. So the fact that you can now go to a large screen, pick up a stylus, create the content on the fly whilst you're teaching, and seeing how the students can contribute and co-create the content whilst they're learning has been absolutely invaluable.
Certainly scalability is the key. And when you're starting to look at large institutions, large enterprises, their consumption of AV technology is significant. So whether they are delivering a lesson or whether they are delivering a meeting, the AV is not secondary, it's primary. You can't have the meeting without it.
It's about that versatility yet standardization. So that's the biggest thing for us, is it doesn't matter how we change our systems going forward, what functions we will require. The coronavirus threw a bunch of curveballs at us. We were able to add a bunch of functions that we needed, add a bunch of hardware that we needed, do that quickly, augment Innomesh quickly to meet that demand, and yet the process stays the same. We've augmented the process, we've added a couple of steps, but we didn't have to throw out the process and start with a new process. So it's that versatility that is the biggest thing for us.
Historically, AV and AV programming specifically has been done in-house. We had skill sets in room programming, but what we didn't have in abundance was that skill set for the cloud and the other IT functions that we essentially wanted to leverage. So that combined with just, I guess, a differing perspective. So Innomate have obviously approached this from, I guess, a similar way of cloud first, big data, and all of the kind of buzzwords that are out there. But that has helped us adjust our own perspective. So not just looking at it as a room by room solution, but looking at it more holistically. We are of very big scale, so we're over 1,400 rooms. We have a large replacement plan kind of in place, and just to make that function year on year, we need that ability for that side of it to just work, and that's what we've achieved to this point.
Yeah, we definitely are. So we're seeing more and more inquiries around it. So from that perspective, we're definitely in the early stages. The demand will increase, particularly around COVID and that return to work type of thing, and then being able to centrally manage all of those resources. So because we're now seeing a decentralized approach to the workplace, that means more offices in more locations that perhaps are smaller. They now want to be able to manage that from a central location. The only way to do that is with virtual servers and central-based systems.
I would absolutely advise that an evergreen environment is the way to go for educational institutions. Before the Moreton Bay project, USC did not have that kind of environment. We had distributed DSP, distributed control, small standalone systems in every room. You can see that with all the technology that's in this building, it's cutting edge technology, cutting edge software development, really advanced functionality. And we've had less support calls from these spaces than we have from our very basic rooms at other campuses, where it's in-room DSP, in-room control, and a simple projector and touchscreen. So that is quite amazing.
The hot list is key to our fundamental day-to-day operation. With support and with AV facilities, it's about things working all the time. So the ability to have proactive alerting and monitoring is key. So essentially it's first action every day for the team to arrive on site, check the hot list and action whatever they can to resolve any issues that have occurred.
With respect to remote, it really just comes down to an efficiency of performance. If there is a lecturer that walks into a room and things don't work the way that they're supposed to immediately, that's bad. And so having remote allows you to scale, greatly scale, the ability to keep an eye on things. It also allows you to fix it before the user knows that there's a problem.
And Innomate were amazingly responsive. Nothing was a problem. And shifting the functionality to deliver something slightly different to what was documented and agreed at the start of the project was accommodated. That was hugely valuable for USC. We have worked with other developers in the past where everything's a variation, and Innomate were fantastic with that.
Certainly, Innomate has been a very committed team to work with, and Video Pro has very committed teams, and in the University of Queensland example, they have had very committed teams. So I do feel that it's been a good alignment of work ethic and capability that has allowed us to all work together and deliver a pretty great outcome.
It was an absolute privilege to be part of the collaboration, both with IT and Innomate. And I think what was extremely rewarding is that we could, from a learning and teaching and pedagogical perspective, bring our approaches and ideas across and see them translate into actions and delivery. Being part of the prototyping and the testing for me as educational designer, who then ended up having to induct our teaching staff in terms of how to physically use it, was invaluable. And the responsiveness was absolutely fabulous.
In our world, for such a long time, it's been, hey, we should do this, but can we? And now it's changed to, we can do this, but should we? And when you start to think that way, then you go, all right, well, if we're asking a should we question, who's this about? It's about the user, it's about the customer, the employee, etc. And then that helps us drive the what we actually do.